Okay, we are going to be going over line 98 in your Standard of Excellence book. This is Go for Excellence. And in quotation marks below that, This Old Man. You all will recognize this song from childhood. But before we get started, we are going to notice that in measure 2, we've got that weird kind of dividing looking symbol. Remember that means repeat previous measure. So we're going to play measure 1 twice. It's going to be measure 1 and measure 2. This is not too bad because it's just quarter notes and half notes. But over the quarter notes and half notes, we have something called an accent. That's this little greater than sign, which means that we have to have a little bit more front to the note. Ta, ta, ta. Say that with me. Ready and go. Ta, ta, ta. So it's got a lot of front and then it kind of decays a little bit. I'm going to demonstrate now. Like that. I'll demonstrate one more time. All right, so let's try playing the first two measures together. We're only using 2 notes here. Shouldn't be too bad. Just the first 2 measures. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, and then if we're looking at the measure 3 going into kind of measure 4, it's almost like we have a roller coaster. We have this small little 5-note scale going down, and then we have a few notes that are going back up. So we're going to go through measures 3 and 4 one note at a time. So just play and match my pitch. Ready? Here's the first note of measure 3. So that was the first, that was everything but beat 4 of measure 4. Now we're going to play beat 4, just one note at a time. All right. So we're going to count and finger, adding in time, the very beginning all the way to the first beat of measure 5. So that's a total of 17 beats. 1, 2, count and finger, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. All right, let's try playing it. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, not too shabby. So we're going to start right on measure 5, continuing with counting and fingering. And we're going to turn the metronome down just a little bit slower because some of our friends might find this a little bit too fast right off the get-go. So we're going to count and finger starting at 5. 1, 2, and ready, 5. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you need to take a moment and just go through and play the notes one at a time, that's perfectly fine. Actually, in fact, that's what we're going to do right now. We're just going to play through all the notes, not really paying attention to rhythm. Okay. So if I'm looking at measure 6, for example, that looks like the very beginning of the concert B-flat major scale. It's just the mini scale going up. So we're going to practice just counting and fingering measure 6. This is what some of our friends might find a little bit more challenging. Ready? And here we count. 1 and 2 and 3. Now that you know how to count it, just make sure you're watching your slider, watching your fingers as best you can. Ready? Measure 6. 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, I'm going to try to play it. Ready? Try to play it with me. Measure 6. 1, 2, ready. Again, 2, and ready. All right. So now we're going to count and finger. Actually, we're going to try playing 5 to the end. 1, 2, 5 to the end, and... Okay, I think we are ready to go all the way through This Old Man. 1, 2, ready, and... All right. And I know for me, I had a little bit of a performance error there, and beat 4 going into beat 4 of measure 4 going into 5. So for me, we're all going to practice that together. One note at a time. All right, so now I'm going to play measure 4. Play measure 4 with me. 1, 2, measure 4, and... Okay, I feel better about that. Let's try going one more time, just amping up the tempo a little bit. Last time through, This Old Man. 1, 2, ready, and... All right, Phil, then if you need to, go back and count and finger some of that and then put it with music, that's totally fine. But once again, that was line 98, Go for Excellence, also known as This Old Man.